New games, Switch 2 release date, and of course, an update on the very, very tiny time frame for the February Direct. So good morning, Mario, and good morning, Switch fans. Hope you're all doing fan-freaking-tastic out there. The month has flown by. All of a sudden, we are about to be in March, and then it's 1 month until the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. But let's be honest, it has absolutely been dust balls and empty skies for the last few weeks in regards to Nintendo. I mentioned in my State of Switch 2 video this weekend that it's very odd because for the first time in a very long time, and maybe even like the first time ever, Nintendo does not have a new title dated. Yes, Xenoblade Chronicles X is dated, but that is a remaster / port. It is bringing exciting new content, but it's not a brand new game. And without a set date for Pokemon Legends ZA or Metroid Prime 4, we don't know when we'll be playing something new from Nintendo next, which feels so strange.
If you're anything like me, you have dreams of becoming a great ninja, but maybe your dojo shut down, or perhaps your skills are lacking. That's why you need to play Ninja 5-0! Wait, what's this? Konami is bringing back the GBA Classic to modern consoles, including Nintendo Switch, at an actually affordable price? Boom, baby! Ninja 5-0 is available right now, and you can get in on all the ninjutsu action on your Nintendo Switch. Play the classic levels, save the citizens, and defeat the mega bosses. But this one also includes an awesome rewind feature where you can scroll back time to perfect your runs, and a time trial mode where you can put that perfection to the test. Employ the shuriken throw, the sword strike, the grapple hook, the ledge jumper, and the half moon as you work your way through bank heists, plane robberies, and many more. This game used to be sealed behind a wall of insane prices, but now it can be yours thanks to Konami and Ninja 5-0! So make sure to click the link in the description down below to check out the game today. Every time you click the link, it helps support the channel and ninjas worldwide. But what's going on, everybody? It's Zach from SwitchForce. Hit that like button if you enjoy these videos and are hoping Nintendo still does something. Look, they could pop a Direct tomorrow. I know it feels unlikely. I know it feels like copium. I know it feels like I'm just wishing to the stars. But with the Pokemon Presents on Thursday, February 27th, early in the morning, that gives them Wednesday and that gives them Friday before February officially says ta-ta for now. Will Nintendo drop something? Will they not? We still can hold out hope because people like PH Brazil and people like Jeff Grubb have said that they've heard of a February Direct. There's 2 days. Could they drop a mini right before Pokemon Presents? They absolutely could, especially if the Pokemon Presents is mostly going to be focused on media, and then Pokemon Legends ZA, which won't be out for a while. There's plenty of space for something new to happen. Or Nintendo is just going to do absolutely nothing and wait for Mario Day. Feels like Mario Day could be a time where maybe they do drop some Switch 1 announcements, but that's neither here nor there. We're going to find out within about 14, 16 hours. Like, is Nintendo doing anything in February? Or are they letting Pokemon carry the weight? Which hopefully it's a fun show Thursday. There's been some rumors about like some big reveals there. Hopefully that comes to fruition. But we do know that Tony Hawk 3 and 4 are coming to fruition. They've officially been rated for Nintendo Switch. So we're going to be getting a Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4 remaster / remake re-release of some sort on the Switch. Tony Hawk 3 was on N64, Tony Hawk 4 was on GameCube and GBA, and that's the era that I loved for THPS. I really loved Tony Hawk's Pro Skater on GBA. I thought the game's controlled exceptionally well. The isometric perspective worked out awesomely, and maybe it was just a game of the times, but I had so much freaking fun with Tony Hawk back in the day. This has been rumored for a bit now, and it does seem like it's going to be releasing at some point this summer or a little bit later this year. But now we have the official rating, so it's like, okay, like you can't really deny or ignore a rating. Tony Hawk 3 and 4 is returning, and Nintendo Switch is included, which is great. Monster Hunter Wilds, on the other hand, is releasing this week, but Switch 2 is being questioned. Now, Digital Foundry did a tech analysis of this game for Xbox Series X, Xbox Series S, and PS5. Now, we know based on everything that we've heard and everything that we've seen that the Switch 2 is not going to be at the power level of any of these consoles, and that's okay. The Switch 2 can still achieve some great games, some great visuals, some great power and performance with PS4 Pro level power, and then DLSS technology and the magic of machine learning. But when looking at Monster Hunter Wilds on Xbox Series S, it is looking kind of crusty.
The game drops to 25 frames per second quite often. It does have, I'd say, not very clear looking visuals, and it's notably worse looking than its Xbox Series X or PS5 counterparts. Now, obviously, we don't have an announcement yet on Monster Hunter Wilds, but that's because Nintendo is basically not letting anybody say anything. I do imagine that Capcom would want to get Monster Hunter on Switch 2 as early as possible, given the success of Monster Hunter Rise on Nintendo Switch and given the success of Monster Hunter as a franchise everywhere else. But does this make you nervous seeing this side-by-side of Xbox Series S versus Xbox Series X? The thing I'll say is that I don't feel nervous because of two things. One, we don't know exactly what Nintendo is going to be able to be capable of. We don't know what the Switch 2 can actually do. We don't know how it's actually going to look. How much can it utilize DLSS? How advanced can it get in terms of basically faking a better looking game, a better performing game? And guys and girls, we've been used to a Switch 1 for 8 years now. We've been used to a Switch 1 which is the definition of crusty graphics. That system is very long in the tooth. It's buck-teethed out here, and it has been for most of the life cycle, yet we still love our Switch games. We still love taking things portably. We still love playing them on a beautiful screen if you have the OLED model, and we still love the idea that Nintendo can house Mario and Monster Hunter. It can house Doom and Mario Kart. It could possibly house Halo and The Legend of Zelda. Like, that is awesome in its own right. And I wouldn't get so stuck up on the semantics of graphics until A, we see everything, and then B, remember that the Switch was freaking awesome while having really poor graphics. The performance, the load times, the graphics on Switch often, if not a first-party game, were kind of sucky. And therefore, I'm just not going to get worried until it's like so bad, right? Like if it ends up looking like this Xbox Series S screenshot, we're playing Monster Hunter Wilds on our Switch portably alongside Mario Kart 9. Like, can you really complain? Maybe you can. Maybe Nintendo, you think, should have gone with more power, but I think once you see the price point and once you see what it actually can do and how first party takes advantage, you're going to be feeling pretty good. Speaking of feeling pretty good, Good Feel is doing a big hiring cycle here, and Good Feel is the developers who brought us Princess Peach Showtime last year. They've done Yoshi's Crafted and Woolly World. They've done Kirby's Epic Yarn. They do, I would say, a lot more of like the family style games for Nintendo, and we know that they're going to be bringing something to Nintendo Switch 2. Most recently, they put out Bakeru, which released in Japan in 2023 and then 2024 in the United States, but they are hiring for planning, designing, programming, web design, project management, and more. This to me says that they are staffing up for a big project. It looks like they typically have a 4 to 5 year cycle. I don't know if they're operating right now with 2 teams or just 1 team, but that does put their first Switch 2 release around like 2028. Feels late. That's like 3 years out. I don't know, though, if Nintendo plans on having another Kirby game from a different developer release earlier. Perhaps the sequel to Kirby and the Forbidden Land. That would be freaking awesome if that was an early Switch 2 game. I would love that. But Good Feel is definitely staffing up for the Switch 2. And I think they ended up making some pretty cool games. Maybe Good Feel is like a round 2 developer. I'm sure Nintendo thinks about this where they have like, okay, hey, these first party guys are going to be part of the first wave. These first party guys part of the second wave. And so it's important to have your games staggered. And given that they just released Princess Peach Showtime and Bakeru, it feels like they'll be a few years out unless they're porting something. And I think that's a discussion that will have to be revisited once we see the April Direct. At this point, I'm not expecting ports to play a significant role at all in the Switch 2 life cycle. I think Nintendo just about exhausted their reservoir of ports for the Switch. We've gotten just about all of them. And while there's still a few games they could sprinkle in here or there, I think they'll utilize those for either cross-gen releases or Switch 1 longevity. Like they can release Twilight Princess HD and say it's still on the Switch 1. They could put Kirby's Epic Yarn, I suppose, on the Switch 1 and say, hey, look, we're still making games for these people. Oh, you can play them on the Switch 2 if you want. Like, that'll help sales, but I don't think ports are going to factor in. Therefore, I'd look for Good Feel to be developing something brand new, and that's very exciting. Will Princess Peach get a continuation? Will they go back to Kirby? Is it time for Yoshi to return? Because Yoshi hasn't really done much in a very long while. This is interesting news, but maybe not as interesting to you as a former Nintendo employee talking about the release date and price for Nintendo Switch 2. Now, Sean is his name. We're not getting an exact thing. He's a former member of the North America Nintendo sales team, and he predicted a June release date for the Nintendo Switch 2 on the Kit and Krista podcast. Now, obviously, this is just a prediction. It's not a fact. But he's saying they're going to want the system to be out before the end of summer. I would say at the start of summer, at the end of the school year, so you have kids talking about what they're excited for. I think we'll see a June launch. I'm thinking maybe mid-June or a little bit later than that, but definitely before the end of summer, that thing's coming out. There are good strategic reasons why that would be part of the consideration. And I think that makes sense. We've thought about this for a long time, late May, early June, mid-June even possible. But recently there's been some rumblings like, what if this thing don't come out till later? There was like some rumors about like, oh, you might be surprised by the release date. Nintendo has slow rolled the entirety of 2025 thus far. They're not even letting third parties talk about Switch 2 games. Could they actually draw this out and put it further down? I don't think that makes sense from a business standpoint. Nintendo really has nothing to profit off of right now, and their games lineup is lacking at best. They need the Switch 2 to come out, and it does feel like the summer months are maybe not the preferred time, but the best they can get. It's either that or you wait till November. It's awkward to release in like July, August, September. I like Sean's logic here of like a summer release. Kids get out of school. You want to keep your kid busy for the next 3 months. Boom, Switch 2 is a perfect time. And then I think it gives Nintendo an ample amount of months between launch and holidays to manage the inventory, manage the stock flow, and get a second wave of systems shipped and ready to go, ready to roll. Because you have July, August, September, and October to kind of sell and get those factories cranking again and get a huge wave for a huge dominant holiday season. Especially if Nintendo wants to put out 2 major games, they're going to want space between those. If, say, it is Mario Kart at launch and 3D Mario for the holidays, like, give them some months to breathe. I think June makes a ton of sense. I would obviously love May if they wanted to be a little bit risky, but I think that Sean here from Nintendo of America, I think that's right. And I think it's what we've thought for a while now. I think it's what we should just kind of bank on at this point. And I don't think we're going to have a super late in the year release. I don't think we're going to have a super early release. I don't think this thing's magically going to drop April 29th. I think towards the last week of June, mid-June is probably a good time. And they did announce that there's a Metroid Prime art book dropping June 24th. Could that be the release date of Metroid Prime 4? And maybe the console as well. You let me know your take in the comments down below on that and the rest of today's topics. Excited to be making a video with all of you and saying hi. It's been really cold on the Nintendo thermometer, but maybe things will heat up. Maybe we will get a surprise Nintendo Direct Mini tomorrow, or maybe they'll just pop some games after the Pokemon Presents. Regardless, we've got a Pokemon Presents in less than 48 hours, so I'll be covering that absolutely. Until that time, everybody, thanks so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive out there. And until next time, SwitchForce out.